The great hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with 1,000 lights. From the high ceiling hung glowing orbs that changed color with every sound. The room was shaped like a circle, wide as a stadium, filled with alien races from across the galaxy. Some had wings, some had scales, some shimmered like liquid silver. And at the center of it all stood one human, Captain Ryan Hale, in iron cuffs that glowed faint blue around his wrists. He looked small compared to the grand hall around him. The council stood above him on raised platforms, their faces hidden in shadows. Their voices echoed through the air, deep and heavy like thunder in a cave. Captain Ryan Hale of Earth, the head judge, spoke. His body was made of clear crystal, light shining through it with every word. You are accused of a grave crime. The destruction of the Zarkon fleet near the Drenar Nebula. Thousands are dead. How do you plead? Ryan lifted his head. His voice was low but firm. Not guilty. The hall went silent for a moment. Then a low murmur spread through the crowd like waves hitting the shore. A lizard-like alien hissed. Another one shouted, Lies! Humans always lie. Ryan's heart beat fast. He could feel the energy cuffs tighten around his arms, glowing hotter with every second. His mind spun through the past months, the mission, the battle, the explosions, but none of it made sense anymore. The last thing he remembered before being captured was his ship breaking apart in the void, then darkness. The crystal judge raised his hand and the room quieted again. The evidence is clear. You destroyed the ships. You caused war between two peaceful worlds. For this crime, the council finds you. A sudden sound cut through the silence. A door at the far end burst open. Guards turned, weapons raised. A voice cried out from the shadows, Stop! Please, don't kill him. Every head turned. From the doorway, a young alien woman ran into the chamber. She had glowing blue skin, long silver hair and eyes that shone like stars. She was wearing a simple robe, torn and covered in dust as if she had run a long way to get here. The guards blocked her path, pointing their weapons. But she didn't stop. She pushed through them, breathless, tears streaking her face. Her voice trembled but carried through the whole chamber as she screamed again. Don't kill my husband! The entire hall froze. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. Husband? He didn't even know who she was. He had never seen her before in his life. Gasps and whispers spread across the room. The council members looked at one another in confusion. The crystal judge leaned forward, the light in his body flickering like fire. What did you say? He asked. The woman stepped closer, eyes full of desperation. He's not guilty. You can't kill him. He's my husband. The guards grabbed her arms, but she fought them off with sudden strength. Her skin flashed bright blue, and for a moment the guards fell back, dazed by a pulse of strange energy. The air shimmered around her as if her emotions were bending light itself. Ryan stood still, confused and shocked. He stared at her face, trying to remember if he had seen her before. Something about her voice made his chest ache. It felt familiar, like a dream he couldn't quite recall. The judge raised his hand again. Who are you, and how dare you interrupt the judgment of this council? My name is Lyra of the Zarkon people, she said, voice breaking. And I swear to you, this man is innocent. You call him a destroyer, but he is a savior. He saved me. He saved my people. A wave of disbelief rolled through the audience. The Zarkon were the very race who demanded Ryan's execution. How could one of them defend him? Even the judge seemed unsure. He spoke carefully, his voice softer now. You claim this human saved your people, yet your own empire accuses him of mass murder. Explain yourself. Lyra took a deep breath, eyes wet but fierce. You believe the records, but they are false. You see the pictures, but they are lies. You are all blind to the truth. He risked his life for us. Ryan's head spun. None of it made sense. Why would she say that? He searched his memory again, but it was all fog. Still, when he looked into her eyes, something deep inside him stirred. A feeling of connection, of something lost but not forgotten. The crowd grew restless. Some shouted for silence. Others demanded proof. The judge looked down at Ryan, then back at Lyra. You will explain everything, he said. But if you lie, the punishment will be yours as well. Lyra nodded without fear. I will tell the truth, she said, and you will all see who the real monster is. Ryan could only stare at her, confused yet unable to look away. The hall's lights dimmed and the sound of the crowd faded. He didn't know who she was or why she called him husband. But in that moment, one thing was clear. His fate had just changed, and somewhere deep in his mind, a forgotten voice whispered again, You were there. You saved her. The great hall was no longer silent. Voices filled the air, loud, confused, angry. Aliens shouted in different languages, their words overlapping like crashing waves. Some demanded the woman be removed at once. Others wanted to hear her story. Captain Ryan Hale stood frozen. His mind raced, but his body wouldn't move. The glowing cuffs still held him tight. He stared at the young alien woman who had just called him husband. Who was she? Why did she say that? Guards surrounded her, weapons raised. The blue-skinned woman didn't back away. Her silver hair shimmered under the lights as she looked straight at the council with fearless eyes. My name is Lyra, she said again, her voice trembling but strong. I am from the Zarkon homeworld. I came here to speak the truth. You are all about to kill an innocent man. The crystal judge leaned forward, his face unreadable. You are Zarkon, he said slowly, his glowing body flickering. Yet you protect a human accused of murdering your people. Lyra nodded. Yes, because he saved me. The room exploded with noise again. One of the Zarkon generals shouted, Lies! No human would save a Zarkon. He destroyed our ships. Another alien hissed, This is a trick. She must be a spy. The guards moved closer to drag Lyra away, but she raised her hand. The air shimmered, and the guards froze in place as if invisible chains held them. Her voice became firm, almost commanding. Listen to me, she cried. You believe he is a killer, but you don't know the full story. The one who destroyed the fleet was not him. It was someone else, someone who wanted war. Her words hung in the air. Ryan finally found his voice. I don't even know you, he said quietly, shaking his head. Why are you doing this? Lyra turned to him. Her eyes softened. You may not remember, she said, but I do. You saved my life, and because of you I am still here. Ryan's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, but something deep inside him whispered otherwise. There was something about her voice, the way she said his name, like a memory trying to reach the surface. The judge's crystal fingers tapped the table, creating a deep, ringing sound that filled the hall. If what you say is true, he said, you will prove it. Speak and let the council hear your truth. Lyra bowed her head slightly. Thank you, honored council. Then she looked up, her glowing eyes reflecting light like stars. It began many months ago near the dying sun of the Drinar Nebula. The lights dimmed. The council chamber projected holographic images above them. Spinning stars, drifting wreckage, and the red glow of a fading star. The story had begun. Lyra spoke softly, but every word carried power. She told them about the colony ship she had been on, a ship filled with Zarkon families escaping a pirate invasion. Their engines were damaged, their shields failing. Then out of the void, a human vessel appeared. The ship's name was Aurora's Promise, she said. It was led by a man with the same eyes as this one. She pointed to Ryan. Your people's records may not show it, but he came. He fought the pirates. He saved us. The council exchanged confused looks. The name of the ship matched a human military vessel, one that was listed as destroyed months before the incident. Ryan frowned, trying to recall. Aurora's Promise. That name tugged at him. He could almost see it. A bridge full of light, the sound of alarms, a hand reaching for someone, then pain. His head throbbed, Lyra's voice softened. When the pirates attacked, he ordered his crew to protect us. He stayed behind to fight. His ship was torn apart by plasma fire. I saw him vanish in the explosion. She paused, tears filling her glowing eyes. I thought he was dead, until I saw his face on the council news accused of killing my people. That's when I knew someone had changed the truth. The judge's voice boomed. You speak of lies and false evidence. Do you have proof? Lyra lowered her head. I only have my memories, but I swear by the spirits of my world. This man is no murderer. He is my savior. He risked his life for me and... Her voice broke for a moment. Our lives are joined now. The hall went still. What do you mean? The judge asked. Lyra lifted her right hand. A faint blue mark glowed on her wrist, shaped like a starburst. He carries the same mark, she said softly. He may not remember, but when he saved me, something happened. Our life forces bonded. The mark appeared on both of us. All eyes turned to Ryan. Slowly, hesitantly, he lifted his cuffed hands. And there it was, faint but visible under the glow of the council lights. The same mark. A chill ran through the room. The judge stared in silence. The crowd whispered in disbelief. Ryan looked down at the mark, feeling a strange pulse under his skin. a rhythm that matched the beat of Lyra's heart. He looked up at her, eyes wide. "What are you?"
he whispered. Lyra smiled faintly through her tears.
"Your past," she said. "And maybe your only hope." The chamber filled with whispers and light. The trial had turned into something far greater. The question was no longer if he was guilty, but what really happened out there among the stars. The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent again. Every alien eye stared at Ryan Hale and the glowing mark on his wrist. The same mark glowed faintly on Lyra's hand. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. The crystal judge spoke at last, his voice slow and careful. "A bond mark. Impossible. No human has ever shared one with another species. But it was there. Undeniable." Ryan stared at his wrist, his mind spinning. He didn't understand how it was possible. He didn't remember any of it. Yet deep inside, something told him that Lyra wasn't lying. The mark felt alive. It burned faintly when he looked at her. Lyra lowered her hand. "He doesn't remember," she said softly, "because they made him forget." The crowd began to murmur again. "Made him forget?" the judge repeated. "Who?" Lyra's eyes darkened. "The ones who sent him on the mission, the high command of the Human Alliance." Ryan blinked. "That's impossible. The Alliance doesn't erase memories." Lyra turned to him, her gaze full of pity. "Oh, Captain Hale, you think you know what your leaders do in the shadows?" The hall lights dimmed again as holograms flickered to life above them. Lyra projected what she had seen. Broken images, half glitched. A human starship flying through a dead nebula, its hull burning, its signal lost in space. The name Aurora's Promise glowed faintly across its side. Ryan's breath caught. He knew that ship. It was his. But the date shown on the projection made no sense. It was weeks after the day his ship was officially declared destroyed. The judge leaned forward. "Explain this," Lyra nodded. "The humans sent Captain Hale and his crew on a secret mission. They were ordered to patrol near the Drinar Nebula, close to Zarkon territory. But it wasn't just a patrol. It was something else, something they never told the public." She paused, her eyes meeting Ryan's. "They were testing a new weapon." The audience gasped. Ryan shook his head slowly. "That can't be true. My mission was to deliver supplies." "That's what I was told." Lyra took a step closer. "Yes, that's what they told you. But when the weapon malfunctioned, it tore through the nebula and destroyed everything nearby. The Zarkon ships thought it was an attack. You tried to save them, but your own fleet turned against you." Ryan felt dizzy. His hands trembled. "No, that's not possible," he whispered. "I would never—" But flashes of memory began to return, quick, painful, broken. The sound of alarms, his crew shouting, the light of a massive explosion. And through the chaos he remembered a voice, Lyra's voice, crying out in terror. He had reached for her, pulling her into the escape pod before the fire consumed the ship. And then, nothing. Lyra's voice grew quiet. "When I woke, I was on my colony's medical ship. The human fleet was gone. The Council declared war. And you, Captain Hale, you disappeared, until they found you drifting near the edge of space, memory broken, ship destroyed." Ryan's knees felt weak. He tried to steady himself. "They wiped my memory," he muttered. "But why?" The judge's crystal face glowed dark blue, the color of suspicion. "If this is true, then the Alliance hid the truth from this council. That is a serious crime." A Zarkon general stood up, shouting, "She lies! The humans will say anything to protect themselves." Lyra turned sharply. "Then look at his mark," she cried. "If I lie, explain that. Explain why our life signs are bound." The judge raised his hand for silence. "Enough shouting," he said firmly. "We will confirm this. Bring up the military archives for the Aurora's Promise." The hall darkened again. Blue light spread across the chamber as ancient data scrolled across the air. Crew lists, mission orders, flight records. Everything looked normal, until one section glitched, then vanished. A missing report. A deleted file, the judge frowned. "Someone has erased these records." Lyra looked at Ryan. "See? They buried the truth. They made you their scapegoat." Ryan's fists clenched. Anger and confusion burned inside him. Who would do this? Lyra's expression hardened. Someone powerful. Someone afraid of peace. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy. Ryan looked at her, this stranger who risked everything to save him, and realized he believed her. He didn't know why, but he did. Finally, he said, "If what you say is true, then I was never the enemy." Lyra nodded. "No. You were the one who tried to stop the real enemy." The crystal judge stood tall, his body glowing brighter. "Then we must find this enemy," he said. "The council demands truth." But before the judge could continue, the lights flickered, once, twice, then went out completely. Darkness swallowed the hall. A voice echoed through the air, cold and mechanical. "Truth is dangerous," it said, "and those who seek it must die." The crowd panicked. Guards shouted. Sparks burst from the walls. Ryan turned toward Lyra, his heart racing. She grabbed his arm, her mark glowing bright. "Run," she whispered. "They're already here." Darkness swallowed the Galactic Council chamber. For a few heartbeats, no one moved. The only sound was the faint hum of the energy field around the judge's platform. Then a single red light flickered on the far wall, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ryan's eyes adjusted slowly. He could see the outlines of alien figures shifting nervously, their voices low and tense. Sparks danced across the ceiling and a cold wind blew through the broken vents. Lyra's hand tightened on his wrist. "Stay close," she whispered. Her mark glowed brighter, casting a soft blue light that cut through the shadows. "Security breach," a voice shouted. Guards ran in every direction, weapons drawn. The council members vanished behind protective shields of light. Ryan pulled against his cuffs, the glowing restraints burning into his skin. "Lyra, what's happening?" She looked around, fear flashing in her glowing eyes. "They're trying to erase the truth again," she said. "Someone doesn't want the council to see those deleted files." A loud crack echoed through the chamber as one of the walls exploded inward. Metal fragments scattered across the floor. Out of the smoke stepped tall, armored figures, black suits with red visors. Their weapons hissed with electric fire. Ryan's heart dropped. He recognized them. "Alliance enforcers," he said. "But they're—" "Human," Lyra nodded grimly. "Yes, they came to silence us." Before Ryan could react, one of the enforcers raised a weapon and fired. A bright beam of energy shot toward the judge's platform. The crystal judge raised his arm, forming a shield of pure light, but the impact shattered part of his body into shining fragments. The hall erupted into chaos. Ryan dove behind a fallen pillar as more blasts lit the air. Lyra crouched beside him, breathing hard. "We have to get out," she said. "They'll kill everyone to hide what happened." He looked at his wrists. The cuffs glowed with council energy, unbreakable at least for ordinary prisoners. "I can't move fast with these," he said. Lyra placed her glowing hand over his cuffs. Her mark flared bright blue. "Then we make them remember who you really are." A sudden pulse of light surged between them. The cuffs sparked, then fell away with a heavy clang. Ryan gasped. His wrist mark now glowed brighter than before, pulsing in rhythm with hers. "What did you do?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "The bond between us is energy. I only reminded it that you are not my prisoner. You are my bondmate." Before he could reply, another explosion shook the hall. "Move," Ryan shouted. He grabbed her hand, and they ran through the smoke and fire. As they darted behind the shattered council chairs, Ryan saw flashes of the battle, alien guards fighting human soldiers, council members fleeing in panic, and the crystal judge still standing. His broken body glowing with defiance. "Protect the records," the judge shouted. "Do not let them destroy the archive." But the enforcers were already targeting the data vault. Ryan turned to Lyra. "If they erase those files, we'll never prove the truth." She nodded, her eyes hard. "Then we stop them." They moved together through the chaos, ducking under beams of light. Lyra moved with graceful speed, her feet barely touching the ground. Ryan followed, instincts from years of battle kicking in. Finally, they reached the glowing vault at the back of the hall, a floating sphere surrounded by light. A single enforcer stood guard, his armor reflecting red flashes. Ryan stepped forward, his voice low. "Hey," the enforcer turned. That was all the time Ryan needed. He slammed into the man, knocking his weapon aside. They crashed to the ground, struggling. The enforcer was strong, but Ryan fought like someone who had everything to lose. Lyra touched the vault's surface, her hand glowing. "I can unlock it," she said, "but I need time." "Hurry!" Ryan grunted, blocking a strike. The enforcer swung again, but Ryan caught his arm and threw him against the wall. Sparks flew. The vault opened with a sound like thunder. A burst of light filled the room, revealing holographic images, data files, mission orders, communication logs. One file blinked at the center, marked Top Secret, Aurora's Promise Incident. Lyra gasped. "This is it!" Ryan looked up. "Download it, fast." She placed her hand inside the light. The data poured into her mark like liquid fire. But as she did, the final enforcer rose again, wounded but furious. He lifted his weapon, aiming straight at her. Ryan didn't think. He moved. The shot fired, but it hit him instead. He fell to the floor, smoke rising from his chest. Lyra screamed, dropping beside him. Her hands glowed brighter, pressing against the wound. No, stay with me," she cried. Ryan coughed, eyes half open. "Get the truth out," he said weakly. "Don't let them win." Lyra's tears glowed as they fell on his face. "You saved me once," she whispered. "Now I'll save you." The mark on her wrist flared, brighter than ever. The light spread across Ryan's body, closing the wound, healing the burn. The two marks pulsed together. One heart, two beings. When Ryan opened his eyes again, the enforcer was gone. The council guards had finally taken control. The judge's voice echoed faintly through the smoke. "Captain Hale, Lyra of Zarkon, you have shown us what truth costs, but we have seen enough. The truth will be known." Lyra helped Ryan stand. Around them, the chaos began to settle, but he knew it wasn't over. He looked at her, voice low. "They tried to kill the truth once. They'll try again," Lyra nodded. "Then we run, and we make the whole galaxy listen." As they stepped out of the ruined chamber together, the blue and red marks on their wrists glowed in unison. The sign of two lives bound by fate, and a truth too dangerous to stay buried. The Galactic Council chamber lay in ruins. Smoke drifted like ghosts through the broken air. Sparks hissed from shattered walls, and the once glowing ceiling hung in flickering pieces. Captain Ryan Hale stood amid the wreckage, his chest still aching from the shot that nearly killed him. His uniform was torn, his face marked with burns and soot. Beside him stood Lyra, her silver hair tangled, her glowing blue skin dim under the heavy air. For a long moment, they said nothing. Only the soft hum of dying machines filled the silence. Then Ryan spoke, voice rough and low. "You healed me." Lyra looked down at her hand, still faintly glowing. "The bond did," she said quietly. "When one life is close to ending, the other gives it strength." Ryan frowned. "You mean, your energy saved mine?" She nodded. "It's what the life bond does. It connects our souls, our heartbeat, our pain. When you bleed, I feel it. When I breathe, you do too." Ryan stepped closer, confusion and wonder mixing in his eyes. But why? Why would this happen between a human and a Zarkon? Lyra gave a small, sad smile. "It wasn't meant to. The bond chooses for reasons beyond logic. It happens when two lives save each other in the same heartbeat. That's what we did back in the nebula." He stared at her. "I saved you. And you saved me." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Yes, that explosion didn't just fuse our energy. It bound us." Ryan turned away, trying to process it. His memories were coming back in flashes now, short bursts of sound and light. The battle, the explosion, the cry of a woman, and his arms around her, shielding her from the fire. He turned back to her. "I remember," he whispered. "I remember pulling you into the escape pod. I remember the light," her face softened. "And now you understand why I came for you." Ryan looked at the ruined chamber, the council guards tending to the wounded, and the shattered throne where the crystal judge once stood. "You risked everything," he said. "Your own people will call you a traitor." "I don't care what they call me," Lyra said firmly. "I couldn't let them kill you for something you didn't do." Her voice trembled now, but she didn't look away. "When I saw your trial broadcast, when I heard them say your name..." My heart stopped. The bond awakened again. "I felt your fear, your pain. That's how I knew you were still alive." Ryan's throat tightened. "You felt it?" She nodded. "Yes, across the stars." He didn't know what to say. For a soldier like him, trained to trust orders, not feelings, the idea of a bond like this seemed impossible. Yet standing there, he felt it too. The faint warmth on his wrist, the steady rhythm matching hers. It wasn't fantasy. It was real. Suddenly, a low tone echoed from above. A holographic screen flickered to life among the smoke. showing the image of a man in a black uniform with sharp eyes and a cold voice. "Captain Hale," the voice said, calm and cruel. "You should have died quietly." Ryan's body went rigid. He recognized that voice. "Commander Voss," he muttered. Lyra's glow brightened with anger. "He's the one who erased the records," she said. "He's the one who started all of this." Voss smirked through the hologram. "You are useful, Captain. A hero's name makes for a perfect scapegoat, but now you've become a problem." Ryan took a step forward. "You used me to start a war." "War brings control," Voss replied simply. "Peace brings weakness. The Council needed fear, and I gave it to them." Lyra clenched her fists. "You murdered innocent lives for power." The commander's image flickered. "And I'll do it again if it means keeping order." His eyes turned to Ryan. "The bond between you and that alien is a threat to everything we built. If you survive, the truth will spread. And the truth is dangerous." The hologram vanished, leaving only silence. Lyra's voice shook with fury. "We can't let him get away with this." Ryan stared at the spot where Voss had stood. His mind burned with rage, but his heart felt heavy. "We'll stop him," he said finally. "But we can't do it here." He turned toward the Council exit. The guards, now aware of the truth, didn't stop them. They only bowed their heads in silence. The crystal judge, his body repaired with light, spoke softly as they passed. "The Council will investigate the crimes of your leaders," he said, "but the galaxy will not believe words alone." "Bring us proof," Ryan nodded. "We will." As they stepped into the corridor, Lyra touched her glowing wrist and whispered, "The proof is already inside us." The bond recorded everything that happened that day. The light, the explosion, the truth. Ryan looked at her in shock. "You mean the bond keeps memories?" "Yes," she said. "It remembers what we both saw. If we can unlock it, we can show the galaxy what really happened." Ryan took her hand. Their marks glowed together brighter than ever. "Then that's what we'll do," he said quietly. "We'll find the truth, no matter where it leads." As they walked into the endless corridor of stars, Lyra looked back once at the broken council chamber. "The war isn't over," she whispered. Ryan nodded, his eyes hard with resolve. "No," he said. "It's just beginning." The stars stretched endlessly outside the council's orbiting station, glittering like silent witnesses. A small transport ship drifted away from the chaos, its engines glowing faintly blue. Inside the cabin, Captain Ryan Hale sat beside Lyra, both of them quiet, both deep in thought. The hum of the engines was the only sound. Ryan's eyes stayed fixed on the dark window, his reflection faint and tired. "We can't run forever," he said softly. "Voss will hunt us down," Lyra nodded. "I know. But running gives us time. Time to find proof and to understand the bond fully." She turned her wrist, watching the faint light of the life bond mark pulse gently. It matched the rhythm of Ryan's heartbeat. "This connection," she whispered, "it holds more than memory. It holds power." Ryan looked at her. "What kind of power?" Lyra's voice lowered. "When we touched the Council's vault, I felt something awaken inside me. Not just my energy, but yours too. The bond is growing stronger. It's trying to show us something," Ryan frowned. "Then let it." She closed her eyes, placing her glowing hand over his. Instantly, the cabin dimmed. The air shimmered. Then a bright light filled the space around them. Not real light, but memory. They stood suddenly inside the past. The dying red sun of the Drinar Nebula burned above them. The wreckage of ships floated like broken bones. The Aurora's promise was there, Ryan's ship, torn apart, flames licking across its hull. He could hear screams, alarms, and his own voice shouting orders. "Eject the civilians first." Lyra's past self was there too, on the deck of her colony vessel trapped by fire. Ryan ran through the smoke, pulling her free, shielding her with his own body as the explosion swallowed them both. The memory trembled, then shifted. A new voice echoed. "Commander Voss." He stood in a holographic room talking to another officer. "The weapon test failed," Voss said coldly. "But we can use this. Blame it on the Zarkon fleet. The Council will never question a human hero gone rogue." The other officer hesitated. "And Captain Hale?" Voss smiled faintly. "He'll die in the explosion. If not, we'll make sure he forgets." The vision shattered. Ryan gasped back in the ship's cabin. Sweat covered his face. "It was him," he whispered. "He set it all up." Lyra nodded, her voice trembling with anger. "He erased your memory. He started the war, and he's still out there." Ryan slammed his hand on the console. Then we stop hiding. We end this. He turned on the communication screen, typing rapidly. If the council won't chase him, I will. But before he could finish, the console flickered. A familiar face appeared. Voss himself. Still alive, Captain, the commander said with a cold smile. Impressive. The council's mercy was a mistake. Ryan stood, fury burning in his eyes. You murdered thousands, you framed me, and now you call it mercy? Voss ignored the words. I should thank you, actually. Your bond with that alien created quite a story. Humans and Zarkons united. The media loves it. But stories end, Captain. And yours ends now. The screen went black. An alarm blared. Lyra's eyes widened. He's tracking us. Outside, several dark ships appeared from hyperspace. Sleek, black, and silent. Alliance Enforcer ships. Ryan grabbed the controls. Hold on! The small transport dove sharply. Engines roaring. Blue streaks of plasma fire shot past them. The first blast struck near their wing, shaking the whole ship. Shields down to 40%. Lyra shouted. Then we make it count, Ryan said. We're not dying here. He spun the ship between floating asteroids, dodging laser fire. One of the Enforcer ships hit a rock and exploded in a burst of light. But there were more coming. Lyra closed her eyes, placing her hand on the console. The bond can help, she whispered. If I focus, I can boost the ship's power. Ryan hesitated. You'll burn out. I'll survive, she said. We both will. Her mark flared bright blue. The ship's engines roared with new energy, glowing like a comet. They surged forward faster than the enemy could follow. In the distance, the dark ships vanished from radar. The silence returned. Ryan looked at her. She was breathing hard, her skin dimmer now, her glow fading. He moved beside her, holding her steady. You saved us again, she smiled weakly. We saved each other. Again. He looked down at her wrist, at the bond pulsing faintly. Lyra, he said softly, when this is over, when we stop Voss, when what happens to us? She opened her eyes, her voice quiet but sure. When the truth is free, the bond will choose. It might fade. Or it might last forever. Ryan smiled faintly. Then let's make sure the truth lasts too. Before she could answer, the console beeped. A transmission, coded and weak. It came from deep space. A distorted voice spoke through the static. Captain Hale, this is Officer Darren. I served under you on the Aurora's Promise. I have something you need at the black box. It survived. Meet me at the edge of the Persid Drift. Ryan's eyes widened. The black box. It has the original logs. Lyra's voice was steady again. Then that's our proof. Ryan looked out at the stars ahead. And our next target. As the ship turned toward the distant nebula, the light of the dying sun behind them faded away. They were no longer fugitives. They were the hunters. The small transport ship drifted through the dark between stars, silent except for the low hum of its engines. Captain Ryan Hale sat at the controls, eyes fixed on the swirling glow ahead. The Perseid Drift, a vast field of cosmic dust and broken asteroids that shimmered like liquid gold. Beside him, Lyra sat with her eyes closed, resting. Her faint blue glow had dimmed since the last fight, but her breathing was calm. The life bond mark on her wrist still pulsed softly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. Ryan glanced at her. You should sleep, he said quietly. She smiled without opening her eyes. I can feel your heart. You haven't slept either. He chuckled softly. You caught me. Lyra opened her eyes, looking at the glowing field ahead. Is that where your officer is? Ryan nodded. If Darren really has the black box from the Aurora's Promise, it's our only proof. The recording will show what really happened. The weapon test, Voss's betrayal, everything. Lyra leaned back, her voice soft. Then this is where truth begins. The ship entered the Persid Drift. Streams of golden dust curled around them like waves of light. Static filled the radio, then cleared. A voice broke through. Captain Hale. I'm here, Ryan straightened. Darren, it's really you. A smaller ship appeared ahead, emerging from behind a glowing asteroid. It was old, patched together with spare parts, its lights flickering. Ryan guided his transport closer and docked carefully. When the airlock opened, a man stepped through. Older, worn, but familiar. His uniform was torn and faded, and his eyes carried the look of someone who had seen too much. Captain, Darren said, voice low. It's been a long time. Ryan nodded. Too long, Lyra stepped forward. You're the one who called us. Do you have the proof? Darren looked at her with surprise, then nodded slowly. I know who you are. The Zarkon survivor. You were on the colony ship. The captain saved you. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small black device in the size of a palm. Its surface was scratched, but the glowing lines across it showed it was still alive. The black box, Ryan whispered. Darren nodded. It recorded everything. Voss's commands, the weapon test failure, the order to erase your memory. I've kept it hidden all this time. Ryan reached for it, but Darren didn't let go. There's something else, he said. Voss isn't working alone. He has a new weapon, a signal that can control entire fleets. He calls it the Chorus. Once activated, no ship will disobey him. Lyra's eyes widened. Control through sound. Like a hive mind. Darren nodded grimly. Exactly. And he plans to use it soon, to make the council kneel. Ryan felt a chill spread through him. Then we're already running out of time. Suddenly, the ship shook. The lights flickered. Alarms blared. Lyra looked at the radar. Incoming, multiple signatures. Darren's eyes went wide. He found me. Outside, 6 black ships dropped out of hyperspace, their lights glowing red. Enforcer ships again, sleek, deadly, and fast. Ryan grabbed the controls. Brace for evasive maneuvers. The small transport lurched as beams of energy tore past them. Darren ran to the weapon console. I'll cover you, he shouted. Lyra's hands glowed blue. Ryan, I can amplify the shields. Do it! Her energy spread across the ship's panels, merging with the systems. The life bond mark on her wrist flared bright, sending a wave of light through the hull. The next blast hit and bounced off harmlessly. Ryan grinned. Nice trick, Lyra smiled weakly. Don't thank me yet. It's draining fast. Ryan steered between asteroids, dodging shot after shot. One enforcer ship clipped an asteroid and exploded. The rest kept coming. Then, through the smoke of battle, a deep voice came over the comm, cold and familiar. You can't hide from truth, Captain, said Commander Voss. But you can die with it. Ryan's jaw tightened. Not today. He turned sharply, leading the enforcers into the densest part of the drift. Asteroids crashed and spun, scattering light and metal everywhere. Now, Lyra, he shouted. She raised her hand and the blue glow burst outward, merging with the golden dust. For a second, the whole field shone bright like a sunrise. And then it collapsed inward, swallowing the enforcer ships in a storm of energy. When the light faded, the sky was empty, only silence remained. Ryan looked back. Are you okay? Lyra nodded weakly, leaning against the console. I'll live, the bond. It's strong, but it needs rest. Ryan looked at Darren. We have the black box. We can expose everything, Darren handed it to him. Be careful, Captain. The truth can save worlds or destroy them. Ryan looked at the glowing device in his hand, its surface warm like a heartbeat. He glanced at Lyra, whose eyes were on the stars. We'll make sure it saves them, he said. All of them. The ship turned slowly toward the far horizon, where a distant blue planet shimmered in the dark, the home of the Council. But far behind them, hidden in the shadows of the drift, a single red light flickered to life. A small probe, recording everything. The image of Ryan and Lyra filled its screen, and a voice whispered through static, They have the proof. Begin phase 2. The light vanished. Ryan didn't hear it. Lyra didn't sense it. But the galaxy was already shifting again. The truth was free now, and freedom always came with a price.